Good morning, Pelham Road families. I hope that everyone is doing well this week. I am glad to be with you this morning. This week for Faith 5, we are jumping into the next step, which is talk. First we had share and read, and now talk. And the good news is about this step that if you are already doing the first two steps, you're already doing the talking part too. This is about building connections and sharing stories and opening up conversation, opportunities for sharing. So the goal here of this talk part, which really encompasses the whole Faith 5 process, but the goal here is to establish connections. This builds a pattern of behavior and everyone becomes familiar with it and it gets comfortable. It becomes something that you look forward to, and probably most days it's just something that happened that day. It might just be a regular part of the routine or something small. But by establishing these patterns of talking and sharing support for one another, when something challenging does happen, or when there's something that is bad or significant, good or bad, you already have a foundation and an opportunity that's there, that's comfortable and familiar. And so the possibilities for sharing are a lot more likely to happen when we really need the support, because we've already established this practice and this opportunity for talking with one another. And it's really just about telling our stories. In our highs and lows, we're telling about the stories of our day. As adults, we have stories from our childhood and memories and experiences that we want to pass on to our children that we think might help them or to help them learn. And even as adults with adult children, the lessons and the stories that we pass on still have ways of shaping experiences and helping adult children grow, adults in the community to grow, our brothers and sisters. So the sharing of stories is really about instilling this open communication and about being able to connect our stories then with God's story. So as we share and as we read, we're connecting these two stories together. What does it mean that God acted and told these things in Scripture? What does it mean that our faith tells us God's presence is with us always? How does that shape and inform the experiences that we've had and we've talked about in our highs and lows? So sometimes connecting our highs and lows and our Scripture is easy. Sometimes it will make sense. For instance, a verse from Matthew 28:20 says, "I am with you always to the end of the ages." Well, we can connect to that fairly easily. God's presence is with us always and forever. Might connect pretty well to highs and lows for the day. But other verses might be a little more challenging. This one's from Mark, the 8th chapter. And Jesus said, "Why does this generation ask for a sign? Truly I tell you, no sign will be given to this generation." Well, that one's not quite so obvious. It might take a little bit more digging to find those connections. So try some of these kinds of things. Ask, where do you see God in this? Where do you hear God? What do you think the characters in the Scripture might have been feeling? Or why do you think they would have said what our Scripture verse is? What do you think this means? I promise you'll be surprised at what some of these kids and youth come up with. It is incredibly deep. They have insight well beyond their years and are able to make connections that sometimes we as adults wouldn't be able to make. How does this Scripture connect to our highs and lows? Or what do you think God is trying to say here? And remember, you don't have to force this. The talking is organic, it's natural. If you're already sharing, then that's a great place just to keep opening up the conversation from there. And it's okay to say sometimes that I'm not really sure how this connects, or I don't really know what God is trying to say in here. It's part of this learning is to also show our children and our youth that it's okay to have questions and it's okay to have doubts and it's okay not to have all the answers. And there's going to be days that it feels really easy and days that it feels really hard. So if you're doing something, if you're sharing, if you're reading, you're already doing the talking. Just continue to build on it. Trust the process. try to be present in the conversation and engage and respond and just share what comes naturally. God has a really powerful way of showing up when we are present and when we present ourselves for a holy experience. Remember that you can follow along this week on our Facebook pages and in the emails that we send to get some links. Dr. Rich will share a little bit about this step, about talking together, and we have a little video clip of some youth who are sharing the talk part of Faith 5. So I hope that those have been helpful. I hope that you will tune in and let us know how we can continue to support you and send you all our love. Have a great week.